Okay, today we are going to render tallow, and the way you do that is from beef fat. You can use any type of animal fat, buffalo, deer, but in beef fat we want suet, and suet is the fat that is around the kidneys. It is the purest fat that you can get. So this is suet, and it gets ground up. You ask the butcher for ground suet. It makes it so much easier for you. And it's just little pieces of fat with some meat on it, kind of by the fillet of the animal. They get a lot of T-bone steaks, and that's where they get the T-bone from. And as you can see, I made a deal with my butcher, and I'm getting it for 59 cents a pound, which is great. My crock pot doesn't hold all that I have here. It holds about, well, 8 or 9 pounds of it, and this is it in the crock pot. You need the biggest one you can find, and that's what it looks like when it starts melting down. You want to melt it down until you get the meat floating to the top, and if you look down in there, you'll see the rest of the fat that has not dissolved yet. You want to, I have it on high heat, but you want to do this slowly. The higher the heat, the worse, it's not going to come out as good. You want pure white. So what we're going to do is strain this meat part off into a container with a fine strainer, and I even put, and here's my strainer, I even put cheesecloth through this on top of it, and then funnel it through there. And then I use individual molds, silicone molds. You don't want to put it in the refrigerator. You want to just let it harden inside here. Then once it's all cooled off, you want to put it in the refrigerator, so when you pop it out you get nice clean bars. And I've got them set on trays so I can easily lift them up and move them if I need to. So I'm just going to let this cook down until it's all liquid and strain this off. The meat part goes to my dog in a mixture of vegetables and rice, and he loves it. And you see there's still a big chunk in here. So we're going to let it, it doesn't smell, it smells like you're cooking a roast. A lot of people use water, and I will use water because I'm going to take this meat and I'm going to put some water in it and then put it in the refrigerator and let it let the fat soak to, rise to the top and clean it that way. And for that I use an stainless steel pot, so that I get the, okay, so I have the strainer with some cheesecloth cut. We're going to take that cheesecloth and put it back in with the meat that we pull out, and we're just going to skim off some of the liquid and pour through the cheesecloth. And you'll find that the pieces are so small, you really have to have the cheesecloth because the meat will go through. And then you're going to have to do it again and strain it again. But that's okay. You can clean it twice if you want. I've got laundry going in case you hear the wash machine. Yep. I'm doing this one-handed. It gets easier when you get all the meat out of it. So basically this is what you do. And then I have a bowl I put my meat and stuff in. Right there. And then I love these pictures. And then you just keep doing that. And you'll get a beautiful pure white tallow to use, and these are 5 ounces generally each. And you just keep doing it over and over again. And I will come back when it's time to clean this part out and show you what is happening and what you do with that. See you soon. Okay, we're back with our tallow rendering, and I have everything poured and more that I just finished straining. And then this is the leftover meat from that tallow that we're going to clean again. Now I strained it through the strainer, and then I strained it through cheesecloth, which is somewhere inside that meat, and you just dump it out because it gets all full of grease and oil. And then I strained it again, and you can see you want to strain it again because there's little tiny particles that will remain in your fat, and you don't want your soap stinking of that. That's why a lot of people complain that their tallow smells and they don't get this out. So we're going to take this and we're going to put it into the crock pot with the rest of that and the rest of the meat. And then we're going to fill the crock pot with some water, not a lot. You can see, can you see all that fat still in there? That's going to separate out and go back on the top of the washed tallow. And I need 2 hands to do this, so I'm going to turn you off for a second. Okay, so we're back. I emptied all of the meat and fat that I had in here, and I added, I would say about a half a container of water of this, and cleaned out my bowl from all the meat. There's still some grease in there. And let this cook down so it's all soupy, and it really does look like soup. What I'm going to do next is strain the meat from this pot so that I have only the water and the fat remaining. And it's going to maybe take a couple passes of straining to get that to work. So basically, I'm going to just start with my strainer and then press it through, and see there's cheesecloth still hanging. I'm going to take the cheesecloth. We want to get all the grease out of everything that we can get it out of. And this will become dinner for my dog. So I'm doing this one-handed. And if you're smart, you keep everything in a close workspace. So I had a piece of foam that I got the stuff in, and I used that for all my utensils. You can see most of it's just dripped up. Then I'm going to pour that in there. And I'm just going to go through this. I can take it and dump it, but I don't want to dump it because it's hot and heavy. So I'm going to get rid of most of the meat first. And everything else in here is pretty much water, so I'm not really pressing it hard. My doggy's going to be happy. Yeah. He smells it. He's right here. Are you going to be happy, Ditka? Oh, are you going to be happy? Okay, I've unmolded the lard from yesterday, and I want you to take or tallow from yesterday, and I want you to take a little look. These are really nothing, but over here, this is just little pieces of meat still. So I am going to melt those down and strain it again. These are perfect, but since I'm melting it down and straining it again, I'm going to do it to all of them. Not much, but I like it pure white. You see that spot? People will end up getting an animal smell, and I want it pure, so I don't want that in my soap. So we're going to put it back in the crock pot and redo it. Now this is the amount of grease that was left over from the meat. Not very much at all, but this is like liquid gold. So I don't want to lose that. I'm going to end up melting that down and repouring it, and then this is just the water. And we're going to just toss that. So I started out with about 13 pounds of meat, and I got about a pound, almost 2 pounds, not quite 2 pounds of meat from it, and the rest is tallow, so that would be about 11 pounds, a little over 11 pounds of tallow. And I'm going to melt these down, re-pour them, restrain them, and you have beautiful tallow that you use in soap. Or you could use this to cook with. It's great for frying anything. I don't eat fried food, so I use it for soap. See you next time. Thank you. Bye. Okay, this is it. This is the finished product of tallow that we cleaned, strained, and I have 3 gallon-sized bags of it that I'm going to put into my freezer. I just wanted to show you how nice and clean they look. That's the bottom. That's where anything would drop down to if it was still there. And that would be the top where we poured. So happy rendering, everybody, and good luck.